Thank you so much, Carla. A really, really precious presentation. So time for questions, and I invite people with questions to use the chat. You will see at the bottom or at the top, according to what you are using, the chat or the Q&A button. While you prepare your questions, I start with a question. I first start with Dr. Bonocore. Caterina, you are also the Italian national contact point. We have an audience of junior investigators, and probably they have never met a national contact point, or maybe this is one of the first time dealing with a national contact point. So I would like to ask you, could you share how a national contact point could be of support to junior investigator, particularly junior investigator thinking about Marie Curie? You have shown some examples, or ERC. So how can a national contact point support practically a junior investigator?
Thank you, Chiara. Yes, I didn't spend time describing our work, so thank you for the question. First of all, in all the member states, associated countries, even outside Europe, there is a structure of a national contact point. So in every country, really, there is a team, or depending on the size of the country, a big team, a small team of national contact point divided by program. So you saw the 3 pillars for every program. Marie Sklodowska, there is a team of national contact point, ERC, another team. In Italy, we are divided by sub-programs. So we have Marie Sklodowska contact point, ERC contact point, cluster health contact point. Generally, you can find your national contact point through the funding and opportunity portal, which maybe has not been mentioned yet, but we will show you the link, I'm sure, maybe in the next presentation. So you go there, you select your country, and you select the program you're interested in, health, agriculture, and you find the team of people to contact. So either you go to Google and you just write national contact point, Austria, France, and you will find your correspondent. Our work is mainly about information. So we work on the telephone, if you want to phone, emails, Teams call. You can just reserve a spot and discuss with the national contact point your project ideas, or if you have any questions. We are functioning a bit like an orienteering persons. So we are totally open to all kinds of questions, from the most simple, basic questions, like what are the eligibility criteria to participate to fellowship or collaborative projects. So any topic, it's really we are responding to all which is in terms of criteria. We, in some cases, in some country, we even read proposal drafts. Not every NCP is willing to do that, so depending on the country and on the choice of the organization. But in Italy, yeah, we tend to also read the abstract of your idea, and even a draft of your proposal, to give you some comments, because as Carla showed, it's not all about science and the excellence of your science, but it's really how you transform and how you describe your research ideas for the application form and for the evaluators. So there are several tips we can give on the different sections. And yeah, we think this is a very stimulating work, and we can do it. So we can do it in due time. Yeah, that's a very important part of our services. We organize information days. In the case of APRE, on our website, you will find the next programming of the information days for 2025. And we organize also brokerage event among our services. So there is a big planning now coming up in May, where you can participate with your research profiles, and you can also search for other researchers, arranging meetings. So brokerage event is something that NCPs are organizing in the last years. Yeah, and we also give trainings, also there, depending on the country. I know that the Dutch colleagues are also providing several training to their researchers. So this is mainly information, trainings, and assistance. These are the three keywords for the NCPs around Europe and also outside Europe.
So information, training, assistance, it means that national contact points are really key stakeholders to be involved when thinking about a European grant. Another important stakeholder is the grant office of your institution. Dr. Finocchiaro has extensive experience as a grant officer also. And my question to her is this: so when to involve the grant officer of the institution, and what is practically the support that the grant officer should or is supposed to or will give to junior investigators with an idea? So we are really in an early phase of development. We have junior investigators with an idea on cancer research. So Carla, what is your advice? How to interact with grant officers and how to involve them?
Okay, thank you. The step is that once you younger researcher have an idea to present a proposal, you should contact at that stage the grant office in order to have already a first not evaluation, a first overview of your idea, and then the grant officer is able to tell you if, for example, it is needed to call a national contact point to have a further advice, or if the idea is a good idea that could fit and it's easy to be seen that it's is a good idea that fits one of the call. It is then the younger researchers need to understand the steps that have to be taken and how to plan the preparation of this proposal. So the grant officer has a role to do the first screening inside the organization, but then of course all these either levels that are the national contact points, other researchers should be contacted in any way. But to know the path to be followed is a good start, I think.
Thank you, Carla. And another question for you. So we have discussed how to read the call for application. Let's talk about time. So how long before the deadline do you suggest to do this work of reading the call for application?
Okay, well, it depends. Okay, just to have an idea, no less than 2 months, which is already a short time. And if we follow the advice from Caterina that we need to prepare for ERC, maybe 1 year before. I don't want to scare people, but I think that the most important thing is to plan your activities, because of writing a proposal being an activity which is quite different from other type of writing, you need really to plan the time, you need to plan the resources. So if you have a colleague or you do not have a colleague that help you in writing, in reading, in looking for literatures. So my advice is to really plan the preparation of a proposal which is embedded into a life, because you will have a life with your family, you will have a life with other activities, and so you really need to make some planning. So to plan the time carefully, because the call for proposal need to be read several times before you really understand what to do.
So thank you so much, Carla. Probably Professor Lombardo has a question. I don't know, he raised his hand.
Yes.
Please.
More than a question, I have a suggestion. As we are preparing this kind of training activity that are open to the scientific community, the European cancer community, to everyone, but obviously we are representing OECI, and OECI has adopted the approach to create links among scientists, professionals in general, thanks to the activity of the working groups. So if a scientist needs some suggestion to verify better if an idea links with a call or with a call that will be open in due time, he may even contact the chairperson of one of our working group, because we have a working group for biobanks, a pathobiology, a working group for patient, a working group for cancer economics, and a working group on outcome cancer research. And I think that these four working group may be interested in joining an idea and giving suggestion. If the idea is related to an activity with other continents or outside Europe, Cancer Center, we may also verify the feasibility to have a connection with our activity that is called OECI World. Is a network between OECI and all the continents. Therefore, even there, we have the possibility to support ideas coming, scientists working in the European cancer community. That's all. Thank you.
This is a very important point, Professor Lombardo, absolutely. So if we think about OECI as a networking platform, and if you are thinking about, for instance, a fellowship, could be a global fellowship, Marie Curie, but also a European fellowship, and you are looking for host institutions, really start from this OECI platform, because you may find host institution, you may find institution for secondments, and of course collaborators. And going back to the European level, I want again to ask a question to our guest, National Contact Point. So Caterina, in your experience, I'm sure you have seen many proposals, Marie Curie and ERC and many others. So if you have to tell us the three main pitfalls of a grant application, in your opinion, what are they? So why do grant application fail? Three main reasons, in your opinion.
Okay, well, first of all, it's a bit different to talk about Marie Sklodowska and ERC, because every program has a different tailored template and approach. Together with the collaborative research, which is also a bit different. So generally, National Contact Point per a team are, if they can, they analyze the evaluation summary report that the proposal are receiving, those ones rejected, or those one who are well evaluated but with no funding, because generally we mentioned that every proposal, for example, for collaborative research, you are going from let's say 12 to 15. These are the score from being minimum sufficient to maximum, 12 minimum in many cases, 15 maximum, while Marie Sklodowska and ERC, they're getting a 1/200 score. So it's a bit different way of evaluating. So on one side, yeah, I can say that what Carla mentioned is a bit general to all programs. The impact session is generally the most improvable. In general, there are serious gaps or lacks of showing the impact of the project, because it's not easy for researchers to indicate estimations, percentages, numbers, which are giving a more clear idea to the evaluator of the what is going to change in the scientific field, in the economic field, and in the societal field. So impact is number one. That's where we also try to give trainings, because it's the distinguo. Of course, the researchers are more used to write the excellence part, and but also there are I would say yeah, criticalities, because many evaluators are always mentioning the methodology of the project is not clear, is not well explained. So this is a point in the section 1 excellence, the methodology, which is the most difficult part, explaining what's your method in the research and explain it clearly. So many comments on the method, which is not well explained. We still read it a lot. Yeah, and a third part, there are a lot of, I want to talk about something which is very much on the agenda today of the NCP and the evaluators. There is a big discussion on how you make the distinguo between excellent proposal, which are scoring very high. And the important thing I want to say is that lately, so if a proposal is as 14 or 15, and you need to be put in a priority list because you only have a certain amount of budget, evaluators with the European Commission are now looking at the gender criteria, meaning that they are going to see how many researchers, female and male, are working on the proposal. And this is really something which, yeah, it's a topic, because gender equality in general is a topic for European Commission also, and that's where I would also pay lately a certain attention, because it has become one of the criteria to select and to put the proposal in higher in the priority list. So yeah, these are the three hints. Maybe there are many more, but three this.
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. I say this as according to my experience as a reviewer and as a scientist, actually, the impact part is the most difficult to write, because really you have to have not only a scientific vision, but also the vision on how to impact the society, for instance, how to develop an effective communication plan, exploitation plan. So, but we will talk about impact in our training. So thank you so much. And my last question is for Carla. And I remind anyone really to use the chat or the Q&A. I don't have access to the Q&A, but the OSCI staff will forward me the questions. So feel free to use the chat if you have any question for our speakers till now. So Carla, you have shown, for instance, the CCI project. You have experience in really big collaborative projects. So your advice for junior investigators, really junior, how to get involved in a big European project? Because I'm sure someone may think, well, I'm at the first year of my postdoc. How can I be involved in a big European project? Of course, not as a PI, but what could be my role into a big collaborative project?
Well, the role of a young PI is important because the big project needs to have teams that carry on activities, and of course the role of a young PI is there. So the young PI has to be trained and can learn a lot by participating in the group that his or her senior will present. So to stay as much as possible close to the senior PI and to encourage to be one of the resources that I was mentioned before, available to build such a big project. And then within the life of a project, there are lots of activities that a young PI can carry on, and this makes experience, makes the curriculum that is needed then to do the ERC that we were saying before. So I think there is lots of place and lots of activities that can be done. And,
okay,
and be very humble. This is my advice also, because you learn more.
I don't see questions in the chat anymore. So I want to thank our speakers, Dr. Buonocore and Dr. Finocchiaro, and we can move on to our next session. So I leave the floor to Carla to introduce our next speakers. Yes.